is food and happiness. The yoga of eating. Who knew there was a yoga of eating? Yes, you learn a lot of novel things at Loft. So what we're going to talk about today is, first of all, why do we like to eat? Why are diets and just sticking to an eating plan in general of anything so difficult? And then go into some transcendental yoga teachings of the yoga of eating and proof of this without any need to believe in anything. How can you prove that this system of yoga eating is real and works? So that, and then music, and then dinner. So that's our program for today, if that sounds good. And then let's get started. First of all, why do we like to eat? Anyone? What are reasons humans in general like eating? Taste? Yes. What else? Hunger. Yes. Good.
Social element brings people
Social?
together.
Yeah. Nice. What else? Sustenance? Yeah. Need to have the body working? Yeah. What other reasons are there for eating?
Trying new things.
Trying? Yeah. Curiosity? Yeah. Very good. Any more?
Creativity.
Creativity. Yes. It's like cooking something interesting and creative.
Nourishment.
Nourishment? Yeah. Yeah. Here's the list I put together. We've pretty much covered all of this. There's the social, there's the exploration, curiosity, emotion, hunger, taste. Yeah. So everyone generally agrees that humans like to eat for all of these reasons, and that's all very well and good and positive. But then there's a dark side to eating, right? Who has been in this situation before? Raise your hand. Yes, the dark side of eating. Yes, there's eating can be done for the wrong reasons and the right reasons. So everyone might eat something because they're not feeling emotionally well, and the eating has some ability to at least provide some solace. But that can, for some people, that can turn into a whole bunch of eating disorders. And eating disorders are, of course, very hidden generally and very prominent, actually. The statistics from Recovered Living New Zealand say that 100,000 Kiwis struggle with eating disorders. And it's one of the deadliest mental illnesses. Second deadliest, next to opioid overdoses. And 10% of those with eating disorders will die within 10 years, which is like, really? Wow. I didn't know that. And 26% of people with eating disorders will attempt to commit suicide sometime in their life. So it's really tragic. And of course, I suggest that everyone, if anyone is suffering from such a thing, they should seek professional help as far as possible. Won't be able to solve it necessarily, and I'm no expert in any of the medical issues that are going on here. However, I might be able to help with the spiritual issues that work wonders for some people if they have the desire to take this path. It can provide a great help for both eating disorders and for just positive eating in general. Understanding the science of eating as it comes from the ancient yoga writings of 5,000 years ago, India. So then, let's move on to the next topic. Why are diets so difficult? You can try the giraffe diet, and then there's so many different diets that you could possibly have. There's like, that's just a small selection. Paleo is popular, veganism is of course popular, Mediterranean, macrobiotic, and there's just like so many different diets that you can possibly try. And new ones are coming out all the time, and it's hard to keep up. So what makes them so difficult? What makes it so difficult to be able to figure out how to eat properly, what to eat? Should I eat this or this? Follow this person who suggests eating one way, follow this person who suggests eating another way. Some people say, so eat only meat. Another person says, no, eat only vegetables. Another person says, no, eat only fruit. And I was like, what do you do? What do you do? There's no real framework to ground yourself into why you can't, without like an underlying theory of eating, It's like one is as good as the other. You have no way of evaluating. Yeah, sure, I'll try that. I know of one person who tries a new diet every month. So I'm like, okay, I'm vegan for 1 month. Now then I'm like complete carnivore for the next month. Then I switch to, it's like, well, but who's to blame? Because there's no real philosophical grounding of what to do and why. If we turn to Bhagavad Gita, which is one of these ancient yoga writings I was talking about, Bhagavad Gita explains that there's no possibility of becoming a yogi, one who knows the yoga of eating, or Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. So, as a general principle, to start to build our stack of principled theoretical knowledge of eating, of spiritual eating, first principle is eat the right amount, not too much, not too little. Eating too little is problematic, eating too much is problematic. Same with sleep. Everyone needs. Different people need different amounts. Some people who have huge bodies need to eat a lot to nourish that body, which burns a lot of calories. Other people who are tiny need to eat a much smaller amount. It's individual to various people. Some people have a fast metabolism and can eat all they want, and it's annoying, right? And other people have a slow metabolism, and they eat like a pea, and suddenly their belly is like 2 inches thicker, and you're like, what? And you see supposedly intelligent people who otherwise you would think are accomplished and can know what they're doing with their life, completely fail at this eating practice, spiritual eating or conscious eating. They will eat things that are obviously not good for them, and it seems like material intelligence, being able to do some job, doesn't qualify you for knowing how to eat properly. Like Obama and Trump, I mean Trump, sure. but like, supposedly intelligent people are like eating at McDonald's and enjoying it. So, what is it about controlling eating that's so hard? Again, we can turn to Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita explains. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Can the President of the United States control the wind? Well, some argue maybe, but generally not. So they can also not control their mind, which is completely apparent, actually, when you look at recent events. But controlling the mind is difficult for anyone. So, to control one's eating, one needs to control the mind, and the mind is very difficult. You can control material matter. Most people can control the external matter around them, like their car, their job, their relationships, much easier than control their own mind. Whereas, if someone has the ability to control their own mind, then suddenly the external world becomes so much easier, because the mind is really the thing that determines how we react to anything in the world. So then, let's move on to the yoga of eating, the spiritual science of eating success. To start off with, we need to start with the framework of the yoga writings, the Krishna writings of ancient India. And they explain that, well, what is a human being in the first place? If you don't know what you are or who you are, then what chance is there of having any other knowledge? You have to start with, well, who am I? And then from there, you can build your stack of knowledge. So, according to Bhagavad Gita and these ancient writings, every one of us, is a conscious entity, a self, a consciousness. And that is primary in the universe. Our subjective experience, that is us. And then surrounding that consciousness is a material mind, a thing that can accept and reject, can make decisions, such as, I like this, I don't like this. Ooh, that cake looks nice. Ooh, that moldy cabbage does not look nice. And then surrounding that, controlled by the mind, is the material body, which is a machine, biological machine that executes the mind's desires in the world. So the consciousness can have a thought that or a desire, going, I really like to be in a bar. I really like to eat something. I don't know. I really want to eat Chinese today. And then the mind picks up that thought and goes and expands and executes, going, I like that shop. Oh, not that one. That last one gave me food poisoning last time, but this one, I like to try that one. And then the body executes the mind's instructions and walks to the shop and pays for a meal, performs the eating process. So then with that, how do you control this mind element in the middle? Well, further in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So you can practice controlling the mind and detachment. You need an understanding of, the mind will do its thing. It's like an understanding of blamelessness. Some people are lost in a situation where like, I'd really like to be vegan, but I just can't handle it, and it's so horrible. Or I'm trying to be vegan, but I got swept up in a party and I ate like a steak. And that's not really helpful, this kind of thinking of blaming yourself. No, it's the mind will execute, the mind is independent and will sometimes overwhelm the consciousness and carry one away. But it's just like, keep trying, keep practicing. Giving up is the worst thing. All right, so continuing to build a stack. We know we're at least theoretically, we can accept that we're the consciousness, and we have a material mind that we can train. We're trained like a dog to do tricks, and we have a body that can execute things that we desire, and we can be detached from the outcome of this. So then we get into the modes of nature, which is a whole another talk, and yes, this can be another talk at another time. But Bhagavad Gita explains that nature, or the world of reality, can switch, just like a light switch, into different modes. So you click a lever, and nature switches between these three modes of sattva, rajas, and tamas. Goodness, passion, and ignorance, as it's translated from Sanskrit to English. And each of these modes have different effects, and eating in each of these modes then produces a different result. And depending on which environment we subject ourselves to, we get a different outcome. So then when evaluating what diet is best, how to eat, how not to eat, thinking in this framework of modes, okay, if I'm eating in this way, what is the mode that's invoking? I can pick up this thing, put it in my mouth, and that has an effect on the overall overall mode that nature has switched itself into. And then that determines my future. So we can predict the future by intelligently analyzing the laws of the modes of nature. Just like someone that knows physics can predict the future to a certain degree, where someone throws a ball, if you know the angle and the force that's been thrown at, you know where it's going to land. You can calculate, using the laws of physics, how far the ball is going to fly and where it's going to land. Similarly, using the laws of the modes of nature, you can go, okay, I understand. When I eat this, then this is the result. And again, no judgment. Everyone can choose which mode of nature they would like to be in, and everyone has the free choice. But we're here to try and provide some education here so that people can make a conscious choice rather than unconsciously be dragged along and not realize, what's happening to me? Different modes have different results in terms of their happiness. Ignorance starts off kind of horrible and gets worse. But there's a certain happiness there nonetheless. Passion is really extremely happy and then extremely miserable, and then extremely happy again and then extremely miserable. And it's never boring, but it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And you're like, happiest of ever, miserable, happy. And goodness starts off a little bit horrible, and you're like, I don't like this. It's like the worst of the three at the beginning. But then gradually it gets better and better and better until it's like steady and nice and calm. Not like crazy amazing, like passion in its heights, but steady, calm. Some would say boring, and that's why some people don't like it. Others say it's peaceful, it's nice, not boring at all. So, I personally prefer goodness, but everyone to his own. So let's go about food in ignorance and explain what this is. Well, food prepared, this is Bhagavad Gita again, food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, smells putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. Food that's old, doesn't have a taste, it's decomposing, smells horrible, and is remnants of things that you wouldn't touch with your hand. You're like, well, who would eat such a thing? Like, I mean, would you go and cook it up, right? Untouchable thing? Well, you might be surprised. And again, no judgment necessarily for where someone's at in their life. This is about education, not judging people for where they are at this moment, but about hopefully elevating people's consciousness. So you might be surprised the stuff that they add to meat on the shelf to make it look red. Normally it's gray and looks pretty much like that. But they add a whole bunch of chemicals and pigments and stuff to make it look not like a dead animal on the road, which is what it was. And usually, and by this food technology, which is quite amazing scientifically, a steak like that can be kept fresh for 15 days on the shelf, and actually it will spoil within hours normally. So it's amazing and a bit of cheating there too. Oh, and of course, all of these substances cause side effects. Like for example, the bacteria, normally bacon, dead pigs, develop a bacteria very quickly. That is very dangerous. So they use a chemical to kill the bacteria, but the chemical also causes colon cancer in some people. So New Zealand, of course, has a very high colon cancer rate. Partially, perhaps, I don't know exactly what all the cause and effect is, but one of the effects is, of course, all the meat that is eaten in New Zealand, and it's the meat itself and all the chemicals they add to the meat to make it not look horrible that people actually eat it. So, here's a brief video from this yogi teacher, Hare Krishna teacher, Raghunath, who explains his journey of becoming vegetarian and his kind of gradual. He became vegetarian when he was 16, and his gradual realization of what it meant to have food in the mode of ignorance, and how he didn't want to do that anymore, even though when he grew up, like in the 70s and 80s, no one was vegetarian. He was like the only vegetarian he'd ever heard of, but he decided that he didn't want to live like this because, well, we'll hear from him.
I just came to this idea that how can we live a life where we love animals, but we also slaughter them. It seemed like and it seems like everybody will say, "Oh, I love animals. I think they're great." But then why would we actually all of a sudden depersonalize my dog? And when I see a cow, say, "Okay, this cow, this has no soul. This has no idea of self. This is a thing. This is a commodity, and this dog is my best friend." It almost like you're creating like a sociopath's mind. And I got that intuition at a young age. And then I got interested in like yoga philosophy. And I got a Krishna book called The Higher Taste. And it explained ethical reasons, moral reasons, spiritual reasons, health reasons why vegetarian options are a good choice. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense to me. That actually is answering all these questions I had. It doesn't make sense what they're doing. It's creating almost a type of internal duplicity. So, but there was not like a support group. Was not like Friends of Animals or vegan youth. You know, it was very peculiar, and I didn't know anybody that was a vegetarian at all. But I thought, you know what, when I move out of my parents' house, I'll learn how to cook, and I will, become a vegetarian. And so when I turned 18, that's when I started.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't easy because it's not because I didn't like meat. I just felt it was ethically inappropriate. If we're singing about changing the world and ending wars and being compassionate, I don't have to go very far. I can just look at myself. Oh man, you're being compassionate. You're not being compassionate right now.
Certainly makes one think. All right. Moving along, right along to the mode of passion. So, Bhagavad Gita again. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease. So, these kind of foods that are just too intense cause intense happiness when one's having it. Like, wow, look at this, it's like amazing, so strong. But then have side effects. They cause disease. I mean, too much salt, high blood pressure, and so on. Things that are too sour. I don't know what. Too hot, you burn your mouth, right? So, all of these kind of foods might be very happy initially, but have a negative long-term or rather short-term side effect. And when I read this text here from Bhagavad Gita, I think, oh yeah, sure, too sour, hot, I get it. But like burning, like who's gonna eat something that's like on fire? No one. That's silly, but.
I'm sure you're gonna do a flaming shot. And set on fire. Coming from the side, you get strong in your mouth, and you go like this. Done. Didn't get hurt. Got a flaming shot. Tasted like candy with a kick. And you drink a couple of those, you will be hammered.
this guy is about to drink a fucking shot alcohol that's actually on fire, and he'll probably never want to try another. Videos like this goes viral. This customer is trying a special cocktail, a flaming shot that can drink through a glass of food.
There's absolutely no safe way to consume a flaming food or beverage. There's a massive injury occurring to him at this point. His blood is saturated with alcohol. Right. It's continually burning and it's continually damaging all that skin underneath. We're causing second and third degree burns here right now.
So yes, don't eat food that is on fire. It's very much mode of passion. Might be happy, might cause some prestige initially, but yeah, don't do it. I was surprised, like people actually do this. but yeah, Bhagavad Gita is true. So yes, food in the mode of passion is not recommended for these reasons. And finally, food that is in the mode of goodness, which is recommended by Bhagavad Gita, but again, like everyone can make their choice and suffer the consequences. Food that is dear to those in the mode of goodness increases the duration of life. You live longer, purifies one's existence, and gives strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, full of good healthy fats, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. So that sounds good. Health, happiness, increases duration of life. Like by some studies, people that turn vegetarian live for like 4 to 8 years longer than people that are eating meat, depending on which study you look at in which country. So increase happiness and satisfaction. Who wouldn't do it? Like oh, do I really have to eat like Brussels sprouts and kale? It's like, I don't like it. It's misery in the beginning. It's like worse than a flaming shot. It's like, some seemingly healthy foods, people are like, no, I just don't like them. I don't want them. I'm gonna eat like chocolate instead. And you get it, yes. But like you start eating them, you learn how to cook properly, you learn how to cook the Brussels sprout in a really nice way, and it's actually nice. And you're like, yeah, I actually like this now. Initially I hated the thing, but now after like 6 months of practice of Brussels sprout eating, I've come to appreciate it, and I'm getting so much health and happiness from this now. Yes, I get it. Oh, Bhagavad Gita is true. And indeed, let's look at some scientific research on the topic, as if it wasn't obvious.
The largest such study was done in Great Britain, where a dose-response relationship was found between daily servings of fruits and vegetables and both life satisfaction and happiness, meaning more fruits and veggies meant more happiness. People who got up to 7 or 8 servings a day reported the highest life satisfaction and happiness. And these associations remain significant even after controlling for factors such as income and illness and exercise, smoking and body weight, suggesting fruit and vegetable consumption wasn't just acting as a marker for other healthy behaviors. But how could eating plants improve happiness on their own? Well, many fruits and veggies contain higher levels of vitamin C, which is a cofactor in the production of dopamine, the zest for life neurotransmitter. And the antioxidants reduce inflammation, which may lead to higher levels of eudaimonic well-being. Aristotle's notion of eudaimonia, described as the highest of all human goods, the realization of one's true potential, which was the aim of this study. They wanted to know whether eating fruits and vegetables was associated with other markers of well-being beyond happiness and life satisfaction, like greater eudaimonic well-being, a state of flourishing that characterized by feelings of engagement, meaning, and purpose in life. So, a sample of about 400 young adults followed for about 2 weeks, and indeed young adults who ate more fruits and veggies reported higher average eudaimonic well-being, more intense feelings of curiosity, greater creativity. And they could follow this on a day-by-day basis, greater well-being on the days they ate healthier. These findings suggest that fruit and vegetable intake is related to other aspects of human flourishing beyond just feeling happy.
So yes, partially for these reasons, the yoga writings suggest that a mode of goodness diet, of vegetarian diet, whole food diet, is almost like a prerequisite for spiritual realization. Someone that is absorbed in modes of passion and ignorance, sometimes through no fault of their own, they have less access to spiritual realization. That said, starting with some spiritual process is a good way of lifting one's consciousness also. So it's very much a virtuous cycle that can start. So, coming back to our US presidents who can't control their diet. People might go, okay, so I'm going to be vegan, which is of course very noble. But problem with being just vegan, although of course it's a great step that many people can take, is that there's like the healthy vegan and there's the I really, really want to eat meat, but I know it's wrong, so I'm going to eat things that are food science constructed to taste just like meat, so I can not eat meat while satisfying all the cravings that I have to eat meat. So like that's the Impossible Burger, where they grow a special type of soybean that produces heme in a way that makes it taste like human blood. And they genetically modify a soybean that can excrete this heme iron that imitates the taste of human blood and inject that into the burger, so it tastes just like blood when you eat it. So it's vegetarian, it's completely vegan, but it's catering to that percentage of the population that nobly thinks of, yes, I don't want to eat meat, but still has the desire. And how do you change the desire? That's the thing, right? you can't blame anyone for. Someone has the great understanding. Yes, I don't want to eat meat; it causes all this trouble, but I really want to have it because my mind demands it, and I can't control my mind. That's really difficult. So this is the next best thing, and yes, it probably is the next best thing, but it's not the best thing. Like, if you could control the mind, then that would be amazing. Then there would be no need for normal burger or impossible burger. You could have the best of both worlds. Like I've been vegetarian now for what 23 years, and really from the first 6 months of starting this Krishna conscious process, I had no desire anymore for eating any meat. And this is explained again in Bhagavad Gita and this book Higher Taste that Raghunath in that video clip was talking about. That the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains. You might restrict yourself, oh, I don't want to eat the meat, but you still have the taste, you still want it. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, they are fixed in consciousness. So this is the way to change desire, to have something that's so good that the lesser thing, you're like, I don't need that. I can get that up easy. I have something so much better. No problem. Like the material example, just to drive the point home, you might have a car that's like costs $50 and is beaten up and like breaks down all the time, and someone gives you a Tesla, and you're like, sure, get rid of that car, I don't need it anymore. No problem. And the same with anything, but particularly in our topic today, same with eating. So what could possibly be such a food that it can result in this higher taste that makes things in the modes of passion and ignorance seem unnecessary? Well, this is this mystical thing called prasadam. Prasadam is Sanskrit for mercy, and like mercy for yourself, mercy for animals, mercy for everyone around, mercy for your own mind. Divine mercy in all respects, mercy. So, I'll briefly tell my story of my kind of personal realization of this. What do you mean, like proof? How can you really prove this? Well, the way you can prove these things to yourself is by experiencing with your own consciousness, where something happens and you have the theoretical framework, which hopefully you have a bit of now, and you try it and you're like, yeah, that actually works. I applied the theory and I got the expected result. And you try it again, and like, yes, again and again. And I've never had something like this happen to me before. Back in 2001, shows how old I am. Picture of me. 22 years ago, yes. Thanks. So this is in the UK, in a place called Bhaktivedanta Manor, which is the UK's headquarters for Krishna consciousness. Used to belong to George Harrison, the Beatle, and he donated to the Krishna organization. So I was there, beautiful place, old manor house that's converted into a temple. And I was visiting it for the first time. I was studying in university, and I came across a Krishna club in the university, and they invited me along to Bhaktivedanta Manor for a night and the experience, the spiritual atmosphere there. And I still remember to this day. We arrived there late one evening, and they were just serving dinner, and they served this really simple pasta with chickpeas, just like pasta with chickpeas mixed in. That's it, and it was amazing. I like ate a plate, ate another plate, and then I'm like, what? This is pasta with chickpeas. There's nothing to it. Why is this so amazing? I don't get it. What is it about this? I was completely bewildered. And then for the next week, after I came back to my university, to my little flat, I was just happy continuously for the whole week. I was smiling. I was like, what has happened to me? I have no idea what happened. And what I understand now is that this higher taste got infused into me temporarily for the week, and then it kind of reverted back. But I was like, I have to keep doing this. In that moment, I was like, no, I'm going to keep doing this for as long as it keeps working. I want to keep doing this in my life. And some of the science behind what is there is that the consciousness of the cook influences the taste of the food. The Hare Krishna practitioners that we have here cooking in the kitchen, and in general, all around the world, try their best to have an extremely high consciousness and infuse the food with a high intentionality, high amounts of intentionality, and then go through a ritual to spiritualize the food, to bless the food before serving it to the people who eat it. And do it completely selflessly. None of the cooks here are paid or anything. It's all kind of purely for the betterment of society. So with that motivation, that suffuses the food, and then when someone eats it, they feel that. And the most simple preparation can turn into something amazing. And it's the difference between like Gordon Ramsay screaming at people in his kitchen and you're eating the food and not feeling good, and Krishnagata there being really happy in the kitchen. Sorry for embarrassing you. And we can teach anyone that's interested, talk to one of the practitioners here who knows how to spiritualize food. We can teach it to you. It's not too complicated. There's a series of Sanskrit mantras which you can learn. It's really cool knowing Sanskrit and chanting these mantras. And this is the mantra for spiritualizing food. And you think it's like, what? Impossible. But you get there. Like who here in the room knows this mantra by heart and can teach it to someone else? Raise your hand, please. Yeah, half the room. See, anyone can do it. And approach anyone over dinner, and they can tell you, they can send you this. And you start simple. You start with a more simple mantra, and then you kind of work up to this. So the higher taste of spiritual happiness comes from studying Bhagavad Gita and performing the life hack to control the mind of giving it a higher taste. Something so good that the lower tastes become completely trivial. And it's really easy to give up things that are not good, and not good for the body, not good for the mind, not good for the soul. And it's not just food for the stomach, it's food to nourish the soul, while also helping the body and mind. And the process works. I experienced it. Anyone can experience this for real in their life. It's not kind of theoretical belief knowledge. No, it's pure practical scientific spirituality that can be verified. And for anyone going to university, we have this, where Krishnagata, who I am embarrassed, is cooking, infusing the food into with great consciousness. There's the vegan food stand, cafe, restaurant, whatever you want to call it, in the University Quad on Simon Street. If you want to go there, not just for university students, open to anyone, please do. So, thank you very much. And, usually I ask for questions, but we're on a tight schedule today. So, if you have any questions, please just see me at dinner, and I will be happy to answer any question you have.